Now, why you need to listen to me? That's absolutely important. Before I say that this topic is on table topics, let's say this is not about table topics at all. Why do we need table topics outside of Toastmaster? It's only in Toastmasters we speak of table topics. Every Saturday, only if we come every Saturday. And every Saturday, only if we also speak every Saturday. So that's too little a time to invest 30 minutes to learn for. Let's just be very clear. What we need to learn is the art of speaking impromptu. That's a little bigger catchment area and an area where we need more sensibilities. In Toastmasters, you are allowed to make mistakes. In the real world, every mistake costs you. Sometimes in time, sometimes doesn't. So that is why we need to listen to this session. I call this session not an educational session on table topics. I call it Unleash the Power of Impromptu Speaking. And you cannot unleash the power of impromptu speaking without having a very powerful voice. Is that correct? Do you agree with me? And no voice can be powerful without training. Except for a little kid who can, craze out the entire room. Our voice, usually as we age, it starts to mellow down. Usually we don't see the older people having a very high volume or much tonality in their language. Why? Because they do not practice. And secondly, they have done their life by being mellow. However, you do not unleash before having a powerful voice. Because only when you can speak loud and then you speak slow, do you share a contrast with your audience. It can never happen before that. So what I would want to do in this 30 minutes is every few minutes, we'll do a few exercises for our voice. Because to be a powerful impromptu speaker, there are three things: reflection, assertiveness, and the understanding of the topic itself, what you're speaking on. And the assertiveness could only come with a powerful voice. So we'll train our assertiveness throughout this 30 minutes. And let's start off then. Do you agree? Let's start off. Yes, we are 3 minutes into the session, hopefully. 2 more minutes for you to critically judge me. And let's do an activity. No learning takes place, in my view, if we are only taking in through our hearing aids. It starts when we involve more of our senses. And to do that, I request you to get up and get out of this chairs. We'll do a simple, quick activity. And maybe you would want to move from the camera. You don't want to embarrass yourself by hitting it. And Sagar having a heart attack. Now, if you have ever achieved something which you did not feel you will achieve or was very tiring or hardworking, you always breathed a sigh of relief. Finally it's done. What does it signal to your body? It signals that you are already done. Nothing to worry anymore. And only a confident speaker who does not worry can express confidence. So let's start off with this. Spread yourself out from each other so that you don't hit anybody. And take your hands a little higher. Yeah, a little higher. Yeah, only take your hands, not your friend's hands. Thank you. And now breathe a sigh of relief. Finally it's done. We do it 3 more times. Yeah? 1, 2, 3. Finally it's done. Number 2. Finally it's done. And this time with a lot of emotion, guys. Come on. Feel if it's done. Finally it's done. Now your body is a little more into the system. We'll do one more activity. This time we'll try to see how our lips are working. Before we do that, let me ask you a question. Do you brush every morning? I hope you do. Otherwise, I'm not coming close to you. Why do we do that? Because we know by brushing, we keep care of our dental hygiene. But how many times do we exercise our lips? We usually don't. So let's exercise our lips now. One of the very irritating songs that almost all the youngsters, I mean, not even youngsters, the toddlers, 1, 2, 3 years old, are playing on their YouTube is the Ba 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 song from this despicable characters. But that's an awesome exercise for your lips. So what do you have to do? You have to do ba, ba, ba. What it does is, it allows your lips to open up a little more, a little more, a little more. Just like we exercise our biceps or things like that. That's how our lips will open up. We need our lips to open up. Without that, the voice ain't going out. I mean, you can try for yourself. Shut your lips and try shouting. You can't. You just cannot. Your lips must open, and that must sprain. So we'll do a quick 5 seconds ba 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 exercise to open it up. And do it with feel of how your lips are opening up. Yeah, so that they really do open up, so that you are not embarrassed by doing, oh, what am I doing? I'm doing ba, ba, ba. Instead of, I'm doing ba, ba, ba. And they open up, right? So we need to open our lips now. A quick 5-second activity. Yeah, everybody ready? How many of you feel you will be embarrassed? Nobody? That's good to know, because only the person on the stage should be embarrassed if they do. So we'll do on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Ba, 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 ba. Wonderful, wonderful. That's activity number 2. Now we know how to open our lips up, but we do not know how to quickly speak. Because if our lips would just stick within themselves, you see how it does? Their hands would also stick. Then your words might fumble. You would lose on your fluency. And if you have ever heard an influent person, if that's a word, non-fluent person maybe, you know it's trouble, and you don't want to be a trouble for somebody else's life. So you need to ensure that your lips do not become a problem in your fluency. And the way to solve this is the famous Punjabi way of brrra. Have you seen, once you do that for a little longer time, your entire body starts to feel a different bit of sensation. That's because that's the very few times when your lips have actually been used quickly, right? Because fluency is about being able to speak when you want to speak. So that is the next quick activity, and then we sit and start to get into some quick nuances of public speaking when it comes to impromptu speaking, right? So it's pretty simple. You have to do a brrra. Simple. Let them open up. It's possible that some of us will be able to do it a little longer, and some of us might know, what am I doing? It's all right. It's all a muscle. I don't think lips is a muscle, but let's just assume for a moment that they are, right? And let's build it up. Again, we'll try to do it for 5 to 10 seconds. And again, we'll not do it. No. Feel it, do it, because these are the 5 minutes I had requested from you, right? So do those 5 minutes with me. Do it with entire intensity as much as you have, so that your lips really do open up when they need to. Are we all ready? Yes. Yeah? I guess your ears is still a little low in voice than my alone. Are we all ready? But it's all right. I guess by the end of the session, I'll also ask you to raise your voice and train how to raise it more. So we'll do what? We'll do a yeah? You can think of a Punjabi song or a Punjabi moment or anything that makes you get into that groove, but do it. Simple, 5 to 10 seconds on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, wherever you stop. Now I request you to sit, and then I'll ask you a quick question. Now the quick question is, how many of you did not do the third activity? I had seen you all. So I know. It's time to be honest. There is a wise saying, Bhushan sir, that I learned once long back. Do not lie about a thing somebody knows you are lying about. Lie about things they don't know. So I know who could be lying. So I ask a simple question. How many of you did not do the third activity? As simple as that. The third activity, how many of you did not do? Or should I start looking? All right, let's start looking. It would be fun. You didn't do? I didn't see you. You didn't do. I guess the guy got a little, what am I doing in this place? So it's all right, you're coming for the first time. And I guess everybody did. Now, we did these 3 activities, and I have a quick question for you. Before this transcendence meeting ever took place, how many of you ever in your life, before speaking at any place, trained your voice or your lips or anything around that? Never? The first activity allowed us to feel subconsciously that if my body feels relaxed, why am my mind troubling me? So your mind also starts to get a little soothy. They say the mind impacts the body, and therefore the body could also impact the mind. That's why we have said stand tall, sit straight, walk with authority. Why? Because it impacts your mind. The second activity allows your lips to open up more than they usually do, because you are usually not fighting or speaking louder, and therefore it is important. And the third allows your lips to open up with quick intervals rather than just sticking between themselves, right? Unless it's a romantic situation, you don't want your lips to stick, right? So that's are the reasons. Now I said that the idea of public, unleashing your impromptu speaking are 3 ways. 3. RAT, reflect, assert, and the topic. Now why do I say reflection is very necessary? The situation is impromptu, right? You're given a topic, suddenly you come on the stage and Bhushan sir is your master and he asks you to speak on no pain, no gain. And it's possible you had not heard of it, or maybe you have heard of it, but it's not pretty clear to you. Then why do you need to reflect? Now I take you back to my table topics journey, and to impress upon you, rather than impressing you, to impress upon you why reflection is necessary. Last year, probably around mid-September, was when the club contest for table topics were to take place. Now, I have to be in a table topic contest. What do I prepare? I cannot prepare because I don't know what's gonna come and hit me. But I found a pretty interesting advice, which was, whatever you're asked to speak on, only that is impromptu. What you speak on, that is not necessarily impromptu. Think about it for a minute. Whatever you are asked to speak on, that is impromptu because that is in somebody else's control. But what you are going to speak on is what you have experienced, what you have thought about, which means there is no situation that's impromptu. Your response is always thought of. Why do you think ChatGPT is able to write answers so quickly? Is it creating them new? No. It has been trained to look at chunks and build an answer around it. And that is what reflection allows. So the first topic we received when we were doing the club table topic contest was fall 7, stand up 8. A very famous idiom. What it means is those ends story of एक चिड़िया पहाड़ पर चढ़ती है, फिर गिरती है, फिर चढ़ती है और कभी पहुंच जाती है. Something like that. Essentially about your persistence. Now the topic was new. I had never heard this idiom before, though I could make out from the wording, but I had never heard this idiom before. However, I had reflected on one of my journeys where I started off my MBA and I started finding myself in deep trouble. The student bodies, nobody's taking me. The girl I was proposing, she just started ignoring me. The professor I wanted to impress just did not get impressed. The package I would have wanted, the personality I have, no match at all. And I was struggling. So I was falling. And suddenly one day a spark happened. My roommate said, let me help you with this for the next 7 days. And if you don't feel better after 7 days, just leave. But wait for 7 days. Just like I asked you to wait for the first 5 minutes. So that was the advice I received. And when I implemented that advice, I started realizing that the reason I was falling was because I was spreading myself too thin by doing multiple activities. So I started doing one. And then I concluded by saying the reason we fall 7 is not because we were not made to do that, but because we were doing so many things outside that we were not putting enough focus. Now, again, the same thing that I said before. The topic or the situation that they wanted to me speak that they wanted me to speak on was impromptu. But what I spoke on was not impromptu. It was a lived experience. So whenever you think that you could be put in a spot or it's an impromptu situation, say you went to a friend's marriage and suddenly somebody calls you up, oh, what are you doing these days? Oh, what a poor city that Delhi is. Why do you live there? Oh, you should come back. Those are all impromptu situation. Or the troubling question that in my people ask, when are you getting married? I mean, what the hell do you have to do with when am I getting married? But they still do ask. And these are all impromptu situations. You do not know the question your relatives are going to ask. But you can prepare by reflecting on your life how you will answer. That is why reflection is necessary. A speech does not start when Tanishq gives me the stage. A speech had already started when Tanishq started saying that Sanyam is coming up to give a session. Because that was the moment I wanted to get into the mind as to what I am going to speak. And similarly, if it's a table topic situation, for the argument's sake, do you know how they are introduced? They are said something like this. If this was a competition, assume here is another contestant. Let's name that contestant Tanishq for the time being. Tanishq, fall 7, stand up 8. Fall 7, stand up 8, Toastmaster Tanishq. And then the contest chair will step away. And then during those seconds, from the first time Tanishq had heard this topic, those 3 to 4 seconds, Tanishq has the time to go back into his reflection box and think, what would make sense here? The time when I started up and all the HR issues that I was facing, because I probably did not have an HR in my organization. I clicked. And so even though the topic was new, what I was speaking on was not. The topics or the situations are impromptu. What you speak on, they never are. You do not speak on new things. Only if you have reflected. But what if you have not reflected? Then there is a famous saying in English, you beat around the bush until you find out what you're going to speak on. That's usually not the ideal approach. And the reason is, you have to capture your audience in the first few seconds. If you don't, their mind is much more crazy than you think yours is. They have so many important things to think about. The Instagram reel they uploaded 56,000 days before, and some person who did not like it. And they will start thinking about that. Right? So that is why you need to capture the attention, and it only starts with a story or something authoritative, like a fact that you may remember quickly. Out of nowhere, you suddenly find out that, oh, Chandrayaan-3 just landed, but 1, 2, what happened to them? Fall 2, rise of 3rd, something like that. So if you are able to bring those situations at the very beginning, you capture the attention. And the easiest way is if you have reflected a lot. So the reason I could end up until the district was, I'd reflected on at least 15 to 20 situations of my life. When did I feel the most happy? Was it the day the girl actually accepted the proposal, or was it when I got admission to my college, or was it the anti-climatic end to a company who did not select me and suddenly the next company selected me? That is how your reflection would help. So think of yourself like a reflecting monk. Reflect on 50 to 20 situations of your life. There will only be one problem. You know what? You will say, that's a poor story. Who will like my story? Oh, everybody goes through that. Don't think like that. Just reflect. The second part is building a story. The first part is reflection. Because that's where another part of reflection comes into the picture. You do not have to speak the entire truth. You are not sitting in a court and you have not taken an oath. I once went to a corporate club and a corporate employee was asked, and it was a demo meeting, so they got very excited. And they were asked, what was the day you felt most embarrassed? And the lady in question, she got a little overwhelmed, and she started speaking everything honestly. And the embarrassment moment was, she was sending a love letter she had to send a love letter to the person she loved, but she wanted to get it proofread by her best friend. Instead, she sent it to the manager. And of course, it becomes a little bit of trouble because she got promoted 3 months later. I'm not saying it happened because of that. I'm just saying it happened. Now, she was sharing this story, and I was seeing the manager because I knew, and he was all red-faced. That's why you might have wanted to share this story by saying, oh, once in my older organization, I wanted to send it to a best friend, but I sent it to an external vendor. It was so embarrassing. I could not call him to say, oh, delete my email and stuff like that. That is very important because some of your life reflection will throw out moments which ideally you would not want to display in public. Right? That is why reflection is yet again necessary, to know what to speak and what not to speak. Ready? Now, the third part of the RAT strategy is the topic. What I will do right now is only take Toastmasters as an example because that allows us to have a common ground. But you can do it everywhere. The topic that I shared as example was fall 7, stand up 8. There are 3 ways of tackling this topic. And then there are 2 more. But let's get the 3 ways down. First, if you know what this topic means, then you start speaking out. Easy, no gyan to be given there, closed. Second, and that happens when you don't know the topic at all. What if you have heard this topic for the very first time? Fall 7, stand up 8? What stupid question. If that comes to your mind because you have not heard of that idiom, usually idioms are a little tricky, then what you should do? There are 2 ways. Usually, a topic is given to extract meaning out of what you are going to speak. Nobody wants you to be on the stage and just speak anything and waste everybody's time. Right? Something of value must come out of your mouth. That's the objective of giving your topic. Therefore, a topic will have a few phrases rather than a word. They'll not say I, now speak on I. Usually it's 3, 4, 5 words or a phrase or an entire idiom. That's where your power lies. You break the entire topic down into its sequences, words. Fall 7, stand up 8. Let's just break it into 2. That basic English will teach me that it can be broken into 2. Fall 7, stand up 8. Fall 7, stand up 8. Cool. Now I got my head in. Now I can do one of the 2, which is a mathematical equation. Does my left hand side lead to right hand side? Which is, does falling 7 lead to standing up 8? Or the second, does standing up 8 necessarily mean that I failed 7? Now in this topic, it would intuitively mean that's why you are standing up 8, because you have failed 7 times. But it might not always be true. You would have stood up 7 and you also stood up 8, right? So what you're doing is left to right you are going. You're saying, is the left side true? Falling 7, and is it leading to the right side being true? Standing up 8. Or is the right side true? Standing up 8, and is it leading to falling 7 times? Situation as an example. My MBA story, the questions were, girl rejected, student board is rejected, placement not matching with my personality, not feeling confident. A lot of failures. Did it eventually lead to 0.8 of standing up 8? Oh yes, it did, because I ultimately completed my MBA. All right. So maybe I can go forward with that story. Why? Because I broke the topic down. I still do not know that the idiom means the same, but I've broken it down literally. Second example, something that took a lot of effort to build. For example, in my personal story, I started building my running stamina. So I hit a target that I want to hit 30 minutes of running time. I hit 30 minutes of running time. Did it necessarily require failures? Oh yes, a lot. Sometimes I failed after 5 minutes, sometimes I failed after 12 minutes. So now I go the backwards track. I say, the fellow Toastmasters, how many of you have ever run for 30 minutes straight? And not everybody would have run. That's a surety. Now I'll give you a way of running 30 minutes with this topic. And I just start explaining the process I have. So these are the 3 ways of breaking the topic. 1, you understand the topic. Pretty simple, you start speaking on the topic. But when you don't, you take out the words. And when you take out the words, you have to understand the cardinal rule. which is that if there is an idiom or a phrasing, it has many words to it, and I will only pick out the main words. I will not pick out a, and that are not important. I'll pick out the word like fall 7, oh, stand up 8. These are important words for me. Alright, we'll be here. Bhushan sir will take care of it. Right? So what we are doing is we are breaking up the words and we are asking if A is true, is it necessary condition for B to be true? And if B is true, is it necessary condition for A to be true? Now I said these are the 3 ways to break topic, and then there are 2 more. And this is where I ask, why do you trust your table topic master? You have never seen them before. Even if you do, you know humans could lie. So the one way we usually, out of 199 times speak is whatever the table topic speaker has said, which is fall 7, stand up 8. I'll speak in a situation where I have fallen 7 and stood up 8. Why? Because I trust the table topic master. That's the first way. But I ask you to not assume and think, what if table topic master was saying fall 7, stand up 8? What if it was not a full stop at the end or an exclamation mark at the end? What if it was a question? What if table topic master was asking you if it is to be taken as true or not? Then you will say, I failed 7 and I realized I was stupid doing that. I moved out of it. I started doing something else and now I'm flourishing. So you don't need to stand up 8. If you are falling 7, the second argument could be, the reason you are falling 7 is because you are not cut out for it. If you were cut out, why will you take 7 attempts? You would be done. If you are not done, that's an indication. So don't stand up 8. So the second way is when you say table topic master is a liar. And how do you say that? Thank you, table topic master, for putting me in a situation where you lied to the audience and wanted me to lie. But I'm trustworthy. And I know you are too, because you made a question mark there, no? And then you start building your story. The way to do it is only when you understand the topic. That's the biggest caveat. If you don't understand the topic, if you're going to use that second and third approach that we discussed just before of breaking the topic down, it's usually not a smart approach. Because one, you're going against the topic. But if you understand the topic, the reason becomes one of the most strongest approaches, because you will be the rare few who would have disagreed. And when you disagree, everybody's senses go up. How the hell do you disagree? And that is what you want to spark. You want to spark interest at the beginning. Because when you have sparked interest, then it's about your speaking. So the 3 things, RAT, reflect, assert, topic. We have talked on how we should reflect on 15 to 20 things of our life to know what to speak and what not to speak. And the next time a situation comes, something quickly comes out of our head. That's why reflection is important. Topic. We discussed 3 approaches. 1, when we understand the topic, we can start speaking. If we don't understand the topic, there are 2 more approaches to it. We break the topic down into 2 sections, preferably, and then ask if A holds true, does it mean B will happen? And if B holds true, does it mean it is because A has happened? And then we ask, do I need to agree with this topic? Or do I need to make my table topic master red-faced by saying, you were lying? Let me prove how you were wrong, why this was wrong, right? A is what we did activity for. We did 3 activities, and this will be the 3 more activities which will close the session. So I again request you to get up, get off your chairs, and with these 3 activities, we'll close the session. So in the first activity, what did we do? We made ourselves relaxed, and then we worked on our lips. What is the second most important thing when we want to speak? Our tongue. We don't usually work on our tongue. The way we worked on our lips is similar to how we'll work on our tongues. What was the first activity when we did the lips? Ba, ba, ba. Similarly, for the tongue would be la, la, la. Right? It will give the throat to the tongue. Right? Cool? Any doubts there? No doubts at all? Can we do it on the count of 3 together? 1, 2, 3. La, 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 la. Perfect, perfect. What was the second activity we did for our lips? What did we do? No, second activity for the lips. Now, what was the second activity for the lips? Right? The Punjabi brr. That was with the lips. I don't know what to say when we do it with the tongue. So let's again say Punjabi drr. If we do a D and R and R and R until we speak, that's a drr. Right? That will open up your throat like nothing else. You can, I'll just ask you to put your hand on your throat and then do it. And you'll see a lot of impact on your throat opening up, the entire body opening up, right? So on the count of 3, we'll do a drr. Simple? Any doubts? None at all? Perfect. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Drrrr. Drrrr. Did you feel some vibrations here? That's how important training your tongue is. Now the very last thing is what I said in the very beginning, that some of us may have mellow voice through our compulsions, through how we have grown up. Usually if you are the younger siblings, you have been always shut down. How do you speak in front of me? That too in loud voice? And you became shallow and shallow and shallow. And so you lose the top voice of your life, which is very important. Suddenly it wakes everybody up. Most of all, you yourself, right? So how do you work on that? And how do you work on the tonality is what I call a siren, right? Have you seen how a siren feels? It builds up in its volume and it dies down. And then it builds up and it dies down. Something like a half sine wave, not the entire one, a half sine wave, right? Builds up, dies down, builds up, dies down. So the way to do it is, we'll make a siren of our own. The siren will be a VO, right? So the V is when we go up and the O is when we go down, right? A VO siren, VO. V for the up, O for the down, right? How do we do it? A simple example is VO, VO. That will open up the ups and downs of the voice like nothing else. It will allow us to say a statement powerful. For example, I was going in front and there I saw her face. And she was smiling. And I could not resist but look at her like a lost bird. And just because you have given that contrast, your words would start to feel more powerful. So are we ready to do the V and O siren? Right? So I'll use this hand also as an indication of when we go up and when we come down. Right? Are we ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And that will open up your voice, and when it does, you would have, if done properly, unleashed the power of impromptu speaking. Thank you so much for your time. I hope nobody walked out. If they did, don't tell me later. And I hope it was fun. I know it was a Saturday evening. If it was not fun, don't let me know. And this, I hand over the stage back to the Toastmaster of the day.